All right, happy Monday, everybody. Today is day 25 of paying my bills with dividends. My name is Joe McKiddish. I'm sitting on my back porch in beautiful Boise, Idaho. It is beautiful today. Not a cloud in the sky. Got my coffee. Got a fine Padron 97 black. Pretty awesome cigar to have on a Monday. I nothing to celebrate other than the market is good. I'm making money, and I'm here recording this video. So it's the middle of the morning. I kind of let the market settle a little bit. I did a couple meetings. Went and got my TSA pre-renewed. This is the second time, so 10 years of having that thing. It's been pretty good. So with that, the market's been kind of up and down. Watching over the weekend, Bitcoin was all over the place, but we're going to dive into that a little bit and see how that affected our investments and what I'm doing here. Last week was like green days for days. It was hard buying stuff because everything was up, and today most things are down. Not everything is down, but a lot of things. Interesting news. Blue Owl. I don't know if you pay attention to BDCs and REITs, but Blue Owl bought the Sila Realty Trust. I own shares in both in my other account, and that'll be interesting. So a lot of people I know who buy REITs and BDCs are kind of interested in that one. So go check out the news on that. And if you own shares of that, either one of those, it should be interesting to see what the outcome of that is. So when BDCs have been struggling recently, obviously with the projected change in interest rates. So people have been looking at that. Plus, there's a lot of software companies that those like Blue Owl has been investing in. And interesting thing about that is there's kind of this belief in the investor community that software companies are going to be impacted by AI coming in, and it's going to cause these BDCs that are heavily invested into these software companies some struggles. So we're going to see if that's the case. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm still buying REITs and BDCs like crazy on both sides. So I love REITs and I love BDCs. I own a ton of Blue Owl. I own a ton of ARCC, Hercules Capital. Main Street Capital, of course, but it hasn't hurt me that bad. The dividends have still been great, but not financial advice, obviously. But definitely go do your own research. I saw a bunch of stuff, people commenting about it all over the place this morning, and it's big news. But see how it's going to affect you, and if that's a problem for you. All right. So with that, let's get into some investing. I'm going to invest some of my own money, and we're going to get my bills paid for with dividends as fast as possible. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get into it. All right, before we get started, I do have to do a disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor, and this is definitely not financial advice. I've had a number of people over the last couple months go, "Hey, Joe, do you want to manage my money?" I'm like, nope. I like managing my own money, and I do manage my kids' money that are under the age 18. With their custodial accounts. But other than that, I just manage my own money. I have no interest in becoming a financial advisor, and I definitely have no interest in managing anybody else's money. So I'd prefer everybody manage their own money, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, have somebody else do it. So I'm only going to share how I'm investing my own money. So you'll kind of see me investing a lot of my own cash as we go along. But with that, let's get into the strategy of how I'm going to invest my own money, and we're going to get into it. So, by the way, links to all this stuff is down in the description below. All of it's free. There's no paywall, nothing to sign up for. I don't want your email address, and I'm not going to email you anything or text you anything. If you are interested in any of this stuff, all the links are down below. And I do want to say the links to sign up for Robinhood and the Robinhood Gold account is down there. Anytime somebody signs up with Robinhood with my link, I get $5. Thank you so much for the people who've done that. And then Snowball, same thing. It's about $5. In fact, I tallied it up over the weekend and then pulled the money out of Snowball. Got another 3 people to sign up with Snowball. So I'm up to another $15. So we're going to, anything I make from this, through Snowball or Robinhood or whatever, I'm going to invest right in this account so you can actually see what effects small amounts of money has over time. So $5 here, $5 there adds up, and I'm tallying all that. So like I said, all these Google Sheets, Google Doc, everything's down below. So take a look at it if you want. Download it, do whatever you want with it, draw on it. I don't really care. So, all right. So with that, let's get into the strategy. So this is strategy number 7. Strategy 6 is what got me free and got all my bills paid for last time. It took me about 3 years of investing, about $300 a day, plus little bits of money that came in here and there, any extra money I made. Somebody asked me how I did it the first time, and to be honest, I really stretched quite a bit. I was working, I had a business, of course, but because I run businesses, what I do, I run Blue Collar Connect, which is Mastermind for contractors and home services and trades business owners, and I help people run their businesses effectively, by putting them into a mastermind group. And collectively, we have 350 business owners that are part of Blue Collar Connect between our 4 markets, which is Salt Lake, Phoenix, Boise, and San Antonio. And between those markets, you put a bunch of good people in the room and a lot of experience collectively, on average 10 years of business experience. So about 3,500 years of business experience. And I bring a lot of my own. Been running businesses since 1999, but that doesn't mean that I know everything there is to know about money, right? So done a lot of research, read a lot of books, invested, been investing for over a decade now. And before that, I was investing in the traditional 401k IRA. Somebody asked me that question the other day. What do I do about those? And I just don't have them. The thing, I had them before, but I cashed them out. And the reason why was I wanted my money to go to work for me now, and I need the income. So I don't wait till I'm 65 to get it. All right. Now here's the thing. So with this one, what I did was I created, years ago, I created this thing I called the Wealth Snowball. This is where I take all my bills cheapest first, and I kind of work through them, and I get them paid with dividends. A lot of the investing tools like Snowball Analytics, I'm sure it existed, but I'm not sure. But I didn't start using it until a couple years ago. Robinhood didn't start using it until this particular video series. I've always used Schwab, but the margin rates on Schwab are out of control, high compared to Robinhood. And so Robinhood's 5%. 5% makes a lot of sense to me. So I'll be able to speed this thing up faster if I do that. So a lot of the ETFs that we're going to be using in here didn't exist when I did this last time, so there's going to be a lot of new tools that I'm implementing here. So somebody asked me one time, what would you do if you had to do it over again? And so I was like, well, I would do this, this, and this. And I started writing down the plan. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create a YouTube series and just do this whole thing, on YouTube. And that way I can go back and look at it. I went and looked at the one on Friday, and, because it was a green day and I was in a hurry because I was like running between meetings. I overpaid on a couple of shares, which somebody pointed out. Thank you so much. I definitely went back and looked, and I'm like, yep, I overpaid. So we're going to correct that today because today's red day on those shares. So we're going to get our cost basis down on those. But anyway, I take my monthly bills, I get them paid off the cheapest first, and then I just kind of roll down. So this gets faster and faster as things go on. At this point, last time I'd already had the first bill paid, but I don't on this one because I'm using weekly payers, which you'll see here, build weekly payers with the goal of 35% total return. And the point of these weekly payers is to get the snowball working faster so that I can use margin more effectively. So a buddy of mine, he's like big time into margin. He's gotten margin calls before, so I'm going to be a little less aggressive than that, but I'm going to be aggressive with these weekly payers and see if I can use margin to speed up the total process. May not speed up the initial process, but it's going to speed up the total process. I believe. We're going to find out together whether that's the case. I almost put my coffee down without drinking it. What am I doing here? I gotta drink coffee and I gotta smoke cigars. It's morning, so this is how I roll. All right, so shares the weekly payers. I'm going to be buy one share per day at the beginning. And I'm going to have to dip into margin for that, which you're going to see here in a minute. And then I'm going to use dollar cost averaging to purchase them evenly per number of shares. So I'm going to buy one down the list, and I'm going to buy one every single day, and that'll dollar cost average me over time. Then that should prevent any kind of, hopefully prevent any kind of market dips or any of that kind of thing causing me a bunch of problems with the share price erosion on these weekly pairs, which has done so far so good on that. And I do have another test account that I've been using for about a year with these weekly pairs. Some of them work, some of them didn't. I can tell you there's a lot more of them now. There's like 100 of them, maybe 150. Somebody told me there's 150. I haven't looked at them all. but I usually let them bake for like 3 to 6 months before I invest in them. But a couple of the ones I have in here are not that old, so we're going to look at those here in a minute. All right, so I'm going to invest $300 a day of my own money into the weekly payers, and I'm going to reinvest all the dividends until I hit $400 a month, which we're getting real close on that. So once that happens, I'm going to take 50% of the distributions. I'm going to put it in the monthly pairs, and I'm going to put 50% back into the weekly pairs. Again, I'm trying to, keep any kind of share price erosion away and NAV erosion from eating my principal on that. So we're gonna see if that's an effective strategy or not, and as we go along. All right. So margin. I'm going to use margin once the accounts reach $2,000, which it has, and we've been using it every day since, and we will be using it today. So that's how we roll. A couple of people are like, margin's dangerous. I'm like, yes, it is. So just like any loan, you should be careful about how you use it and don't get it too over leveraged. And margin is no different. So margin, I'm pretty conservative with margin because I've never gotten a margin call, and I never want to. So I'm pretty careful with how I use margin, and you'll kind of see my strategy around that here in a minute. All right. When the weekly payers are at $400 a month, I will also split the $300 a day, 50-50 between the weekly and monthly payers. And doing that plus margin, plus the dividends I'm pulling from the weekly payers should be able to speed up this that process is going to go so fast when this happens. We'll be able to pay these bills pretty quick, I think. All right, so shares of the monthly payers will also be bought evenly per number of shares, and dollar cost averaging will be used. And then the monthly payers, my goal is a 10% return, but not total return. I think the total return, we obviously want that in the positive. We want that these shares growing, but primarily I want a 10% dividend return on those, and then I'm going to wait my decision on which ones I'm going to use, which I haven't chosen the monthly pairs yet, but that's going to happen this week. This week I'm going to pick which monthly pairs we're going to go with in the initial round. So I'm going to do 2 rounds of the monthly pairs. I've decided. So I'm going to do the first block of them. I'm not sure how many yet, but I'm going to choose the first block, and then I'm going to leave some open spaces. So I want 13 of them. I've got 13 of the weeklies. I want 13 of the monthlies, but I'm not sure. I'm definitely not going to do all 13 all at one time. I'm probably going to start with 7 of them and get them rocking, and then as I find some other ones, do some other research. Or people, if you have any monthlies that you like that kind of meet this tax efficiency and 10% total or 10% return on that, shoot it, comment them in the comments if they're not my list already. All right, so the monthlies will pay my personal expenses, and then I'm just going to keep track of how many days since we started today being day 25, how many days it took me to get each one of these bills paid. So once I hit that $60 a month from the monthlies, then I'll tally that in here, and then we'll just keep rolling. Obviously, with the dividend reinvesting, using margin, adding in little bits of money here and there, this will get faster and faster and faster, right? So that's the beautiful thing about the dividend snowball when it starts really cracking. All right, so here's the weekly payers I'm using. I put links in here to every single one of them. So if you're like me and want to research the heck out of everything, what did I spend my morning doing besides running around going to meetings and doing other stuff? In between those, I was researching investments, and so I like to go on the website there. I like to use different tools, whether it's Snowball Analytics or Seeking Alpha or any of those. I like to go and research things heavily before I start buying them. And some of you may have seen these over the last 6 months and be like, and I've gotten this feedback that these things are not stable, and you're right, they're not stable. When the market goes down, they go down hard, and when the market goes up, they also go up at a significant rate, usually beating the indexes. So whether that's S&P or NASDAQ or Russell 2000, these ones, when the market's on an upswing, they're typically winning. So doesn't mean it'll always be the case, but has been over the last week. And so blocks, Maggie. So I've got some crypto stuff, tech, Magnificent Seven technology, PLTW, which has been kind of a drag on this portfolio. We're going to see what the performance is today, but tomorrow it's going to pay out some fat dividends. I'm excited about that. Last week it paid not well, like 9 cents a share. This week it's going to pay 33 cents a share, and that's the market just kind of jumping around with Palantir. A lot of emotion around Palantir. They've been selling like crazy and making money hand over fist, but the investors are like, oh, political, this and that. So I believe that this company is solid. Palantir is the underlying under PLTW, and that's why it's in there. I don't think we're going to go backwards on the AI, and I don't think we're going to go backwards on tech. And they've got massive contracts with the government, state police, all kinds of different organizations, international and national, U.S. and all over the world. So that they're signing 300, 400, 500 million dollar contracts left and right, and I can only see them doing better, right? So Robinhood is the next one. That's because I'm using Robinhood in here, and I was like, all right, I'm going to use Round Hills HOW. I had to choose one of their weekly pays, and I chose that one just because we're using Robinhood, and guess what? It's been working out just fine since then. Top W, which is Round Hill's weekly pay universe, was WPay, and it sucked. Their strategy before was no bueno. Now I think they've turned a corner on that, and it's performing a lot better. You should do your own research on that, but I like it. And then the Tesla shares, rec shares, that's been also kind of a drag on the system. I think also politically, Tesla's getting whacked. But the thing is Tesla's going to be releasing their own chips, or so Elon says. And if they start doing that, I can only see Tesla doing better and better as they not only consume those own chips themselves, but start selling them to other people. All right. The NVIDIA rec shares, I've got that one. And then there's the Walmart rec shares one. I wanted to add something that wasn't tech, and so that's what I found. Got some broad market stuff from Tab Alpha. These have actually performed pretty well. We're going to go look at the total performance on these here in just a minute, but I've been pretty happy with those. These are the newer ones I was talking about. These are fairly new, but T-SPY and TDAC have been around for a while, and then they created a lift thing, so they've got some leverage in there, and then they're paying weekly on those. All right, so Chippy, which is Yieldmax. Amazingly enough, a lot of people, poo-poo on Yieldmax, but this Chippy fund has been kicking ass and taking names. So this has been the winner so far. We're going to go check it as of today, see if it still is. But total performance, growth, and dividends, this has been kicking butt. So I've been enjoying that one. I have a lot of shares of it in my other account. I bought it early when it first, like maybe a month after it first came out. And man, am I happy I did. I'm so happy with that one. Other Yieldmax funds, not so much, but Soxy and Chippy have been pretty good for me. I also have shares of Biggie, which are the 3 Yieldmax funds that I have in my other account. But Chippy's been my favorite. All right, I've got 2 more Round Hill funds, which is YETH and YBTC, which are Ethereum and Bitcoin cover calls, and those have actually been performing well because crypto's been on a rebound. We're gonna go look at it what it is today. This morning it was up and it was down. It was up and down. I couldn't keep track of it, so I kind of quit looking at it. But we're gonna look at it together here in just a minute. All right, so here's the monthly contenders. These are ones that I've been looking at. A couple of people, and I haven't put the links in here to these other funds yet, but I will do that today, so they're there tomorrow. What I'm looking for is tax efficiency primarily in here, plus they need to meet my goals of getting 10%. So we've got a couple that meet my tax efficiency, but this one's less than 10%. We're going to see what it's like here in later this week when I decide which ones I'm going to go with. And then the rest of these, I just been adding them in. A lot of them have come from your comments. So if you see some, of some that would meet this strategy, feel free to comment them. I am looking for tax efficiency, and I'm also looking for this estimated dividend return, and I'm going to put the 12-month total return in here. We're going to take a look at those, and we're going to weigh all this. And really, what I'm looking for is total returns good, dividend payouts above 10%, and then they're tax efficient. So if you know of anything like that that's not on this list, again, this link to this financial freedom, this one's called Financial Freedom Strategy 7 in Google Sheets. Click on it down below. If you see any in here where you're like, Joe's missing the boat on something, and I very well might be. There's thousands of funds out there that I don't need. I haven't even looked at. If I'm missing one, add it into the comments, and I'll take a look at it and I'll add it to the list. All right, so let's go look at my dividend payouts. So far, I've received $140 in dividends, which is an exact number. It's kind of interesting that I hit that exact number on the dot today. But today I got $8.84 from Maggie and Blocks. I like both of those funds, and this looks wrong. I think that Maggie paid out the $6.26. Let's go look, and I'm right. Maggie paid $6.26. Let's do this. All right, and then Blocks paid out $2.58. 2.58. There we go. All right, now it's all is well with the world. So we've got that in there. As you can see, the dividends have been growing consistently. My first week, I did 71 cents from Top W, NBII, and now you can see what those are paying out now. I'm down in the $19. It's $13.70 on Top W and TSII. The Chippy, TDAX, TSYX, YBDC on Thursdays, I'm at $19.84. So getting real close to that $20 a day or on Thursdays, and then all these are gonna push pretty fast. I did add the extra $15 I got from Snowball today, so I did deposit that money. So we're up $15 there. I've gotten $15 total from Robinhood, and then so I'm at $110 from Snowball, and then I've invested as of today. I just moved the $300 in there at $7,800 of my own money. So a total with the dividends being reinvested of $8,065 so far in the 25 trading days that I've been doing this. All right, so let's go see what my my account's doing. So you can see the money in here. I don't know why that $15 isn't showing up. Should be. There it is. Here's $15 from Snowball. So got the $300 in there. So let's go ahead and close that. Let's jump right into these investments. All right, a couple things here. Number one, today is down slightly, but over the last month, I'm almost 10% up. So total since I've been investing, I'm up 8.86%. In growth on these shares. So this thing's been like that first week was like, oh no, it's going down, and then it was been up and up and up since. So we've had a couple down days, but for the most part, it's just been crushing. All right, so with that, we've got Blocks is down today. Chippy's actually down today, and but I'm still way up on that account, 14.93% on that particular holding. Pretty incredible. HOW, I'm down today, but up overall 7.22%. And then Maggie amazingly is up. NBII is up today. PLTW is up today, of all things. But I'm overall down. And I got like a little schmutz on my screen there, so I'm gonna move that out of the way so I can see. 4.61% down. So we're gonna be able to buy down our cost basis on that. So we're gonna be able to do that. And then TDAX, Top W, everything, all these are doing really well. TDAX 9.2% up. Top W almost 9% up. TSII, I was talking about that earlier. The Tesla one, I'm only down 1.13%. We're going to buy that down slightly today, even though it's in the green. We're still going to get our cost per share down. TSYX is up. Walmart one's back in the red. So it was in the red at the beginning, and now it's in the red again. So it was green all last week, and now I'm 0.1% down on it. So making me nuts with that thing going up and down, up and down. So, all right. YBTC down today, but still up overall. Yes, I'm very slightly up overall, but it's down today. So we'll buy some shares on a slight discount. So with that, let's get into this Blocks. Let's increase my position. I'm going to do a limit buy on this as I always do, and I'm going to look at the bid price is $15.99 and the current price is $16.03. So let's see if we can get it for $15.99. Buy that cost down as close as I can. So let's get that down a little bit, and we'll save myself a couple pennies on that. All right, let me turn on the volume. All right, I think it's on. All right, so Chippy. The sun's pretty bright, so it's hard. I'm having a hard time like seeing the little lights. I can see my screen just fine because I have a pretty awesome monitor on this laptop. So I'm running an HP. It's not an EliteBook. It's whatever their desktop workstation laptop is, and it's pretty sweet. The screen is even in the sun, full sun, freaking awesome. So and I hate working inside, so I buy badass laptops so I can work outside. All right, so Chippy, let's increase my position. It looks like that Blocks went through. I love the little chime of freedom that just went off. All right, so my bid price is $68.52, and then the current price is $68.67. So let's go $68.52. Let's see if we can get it for that. All right, HOW. Same thing, limit buy. Bid price is $26.29, And then the current price is 26.42. Let's go 26.29 on that since that one's in the red. See if we can get it as cheap as we can. Maggie, let me increase my position on that. Let's go limit. All right. Bid price is 68.18. Let's go all the way down to 68.19 because that one's in the green. So we're going to go 1 penny above bid. Let's see if we can get it for 6 cents less. NBII. Bid price is 28.16. Let's go to 28.17. See if we can get it for that. PLTW also in the green today, but it's still less than our current our average price. So we're going to buy it down, buy our cost basis down just a little bit. All right, so cost per share is going to drop. So if we can get it for 23.60, 23.59 is the current bid. We can get it for that. I'd be pretty happy with that because our average price is 24.80, and then current price is 23.66. So it'll bring our overall price per share. We're gonna do well. All right, so our average price. Yeah, there we go. So we're still down on that, but something went through. HOW just went through. Sweet. All right, so TDAX, let's increase our position on that. Limit. All right, 23.50 is the current bid. So let's go down to 23.52. Let's go 23.51. Why not? Let's try and get it as cheap as we can. All right, top W. All right, we got limit price. The bid price is 28.56. So there's not much room to give on that one. So let's still go down 23.57 and see if we can get it a couple cents cheaper. TSII, I'm going to increase my position, limit, and current bid price is 18.14. So let's go to 18.14 and see if we can get it for that. All right, TSYX, I'm going to increase my position there, and it is windy out here. You probably can't hear it because I got this mic on that's supposed to block all the noise, but I'm having a hard time keeping my cigar lit because it is blowing out here. All my hair is like blowing that way. It's like it is ripping out here. In fact, I'm hardly getting any heat from my fireplace just because it's blowing the wrong direction. So, and I don't want to sit in the sun, or in the smoke. I do want to sit in the sun. The sun is beautiful, but I don't want to sit in the smoke. All right, so 23.07, 23.06 is the current bid. 23.07. All right, where are we at? TSYX. All right, Walmart. Let's get that Walmart one for a couple cents cheaper. So 27.11 is the current bid price. 27.09 is the current price. Let's go down to 27.09 and see if we can get it to go through. I want to go less than the bid on this and see if we can get it to rock through there. YBTC, we'll do limit on that. 22.05, 22.03. Man, it is right in there. It's hardly any difference. Let's go down to 22.03. And that mosquito hawk startled me. There was a giant mosquito hawk, and he's out here eating mosquitoes, so he's doing a good job. But and he came in here and thought a yellow jacket or something was going to get me. All right, so mosquito hawks I love. Getting bit by yellow jackets, not so much. All right, so 11.82. That'd be an entertaining video, me getting chomped on by a yellow jacket. So bid is 11.80. Current price is 11.80. I don't think we're going to really go much cheaper than that. So we're just going to put it in at 11.80 and see if it'll even go through at that price. All right, so we got a couple to go through, but not all of them. So Chippy, let's go ahead and get back to that one. 68.52 bid, which is the bid price has gone up to 68.62. The current price has not gone up that much, but let's go up to 68.60. See that current price just went up, so people are buying it. All right, so 68.62. Let's go 68.63 and replace that one and see if we can get it to go for a penny more, which we did. All right, Maggie, let's go ahead and replace that. 46.19. 46.18 is the current bid. I think we're within a penny on this thing. So because it's so tight, there's not much room in here. All right, NBII 26.17. That's still the current bid. So we're gonna go 26.18. I don't want to pay full price for that if I can help it. PLTW, let's get that one. 2360, 2361 is the current price. We are right in there. There's no room to play in that space. So TDAX 2351. Let's see, 2350 is the current bid price. So we're going to go up a penny and see if that we can get some of these to go through. Still less than the current price. Well, I changed it already. Sometimes this is my only hiccup with Robinhood is I come in here and I change the price up and it doesn't give me the little green button and it's like, hey, you need to change the price. I'm like, let's go. It's certainly not my internet. My internet's plenty fast. So, all right, top W, we're gonna go 38.57, 38.56 is current bid. We're gonna go up 1 penny and see if we can still get it less than current price. All right, PSYX 2307, 2306 is current bid. Current price is 23.14. Let's go up 2 pennies on that one. That one went right through, so we were right in there. And I think we're right in there on all these. So we're gonna bump these a penny and see if we can get them to go through. 2303, 2304, 2204, 2206 is the current price. See if we can get it for 2 cents cheaper. Yeth, 1180. The current bid ask price is 1181, so it's right in there. I'm just gonna let that one ride while we mess with the rest of these and see if it'll go through. All right, 4620 is the current bid, and then current price is 46.23. We're gonna go up 1 penny. I want that 2 cents cheaper if I can get it. So that one has just been doing extremely well and on the dividend payouts. But I want to get them as low as I can get them, so I can get my account. Oh, that's the Eth again. I already did that. I don't want to mess with that thing because I'd like to get it for that price. All right, current bid price is now 28.23 on NVII. I'm gonna go 1 penny up, see if I can get it for the current price. I don't think I'm going to, but we're gonna find out. All right, 23.61, 23.62 is the current bid price. So we're gonna go up a penny and see if we can get it for that, which we did. I almost went up 2 pennies on that. It cost myself a penny. That would have sucked. I'm like, glad I didn't do that. I went back down a penny and I was like, I'm not doing that. I had a sense about it. All right, so this one's still even at 23.53. I'm still 2 cents less than current price. So I'd like to get it for that. 38.58, 38.59 is the current price, and I think we're just gonna have to bite the bullet on this one and buy it for whatever the current price is. All right, Robinhood. I had to trick it, going up a penny and then back down a penny. All right, here's the Walmart one, 27.10. That's still the current bid price. Let's go 27.11. YBTC 2204, 2206. Let's go 1 penny less. And the market's like when it's trading flat, like it is. Let's go. Let me move my controls over if I can. Sometimes it doesn't let me. All right, let's go. We're still down today, but so little that it's almost like a flat market today. No big upswings. All right, so and that's fine. So let's go NVII. Let's go back up to the top here. Let's get Yeth or Maggie. All right, 1 cent less than the current price. See if we can get it to go through. TDAX. Let's go up a penny here. Current bid is 22.50 or 20. Is it 22.50? And the current ask is that 50 or 60? No, it's 50. All right, 51. Bid is 51. Ask is 23.65. 23.53 is what the current price is. We're going to end up a penny on that one. Just in the interest of time, I got to crank through these. All right. Dang it, Walmart, you're going to make me buy you at the... So 27.10, 27.14. The last price was 27.09, which is a total bummer. I'm gonna have to be up a couple pennies above that, but that's the way it goes when you're investing. You're gonna end up paying a couple pennies more sometimes. but sometimes I get it for like 5 cents or 10 cents less. So, it just depends. That's why I love red days so much. When things are like dropping, I'm able to buy these share prices down quite a bit. So, all right, let's just rip through these. Let's go up a penny on all these. Don't want to make the mistake where I actually accidentally add like 5 cents to one of these and it goes through, which I did on Friday, and I was like, oh man, cost myself 5 cents on that deal. So don't want to do that again. All right, so top W. We're going current price on that, and that one went through. That 1 penny eating me alive. All right, 27.13. All right, that one went through. NVII. This NVIDIA one, frustrating. 28.22. We're just going to go with that. All right, we're close. I think we're close on these. TDAX 23.55. Last price was 23.50. We're 5 cents above that. So ask price is still 23.65. So we're still 10 cents below the ask. I'd love to get it as cheap as humanly possible here, but it doesn't want to play with me. And Robinhood's not participating in my program here. So there it goes. I have to say, the one thing that I like about Schwab is this process goes way faster. I'm able to go bam, 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 bam in there. Although typically what I do, like I did this morning when I was investing on the Schwab side, which I still have my main accounts over on Schwab, which I'm going to eventually move over to Robinhood. But I went in and put limit buys in for everything that was in my list today, and put them down at ridiculous levels. Like I was like, 10 cents or 20 cents below what I even thought it would go to. And I went and looked right before I got on here, and a bunch of them went through. So today's an interesting day in the stock market, we'll just say. So, for those of you watching at home, if you're using this strategy, this works way better if you get up at, right when the market opens and put your limit orders in and just go some ridiculous number lower. Like I went $1 lower on some shares, and they went through. So they went back up later, but at the beginning they went through. At some point they got down to that price. All right, done. We got them as cheap as we could get them. All right, let's do a quick refresh on this thing and take a look at where we're at here. So PLTW, we moved the needle slightly on that. Got it a little bit cheaper per share than what we were before, but everything else we're holding pretty steady. Chippy, and if they keep tracking their dividends along with their share price appreciation, life is going to be pretty good with that one. So let's make sure we got everything, 26 of everything other than the Walmart one, which we added later. And on a severe red day, again, what I mean by a severe red day is my total value, my total price per share is 3% lower, then I'll buy more. So when it drops below 3%, I will increase, maybe buy 2 shares on that day. All right. So today I'm not going to buy additional shares, even though it's down 1.63%. My total value there is still 3 cent or point. It's only like a third of a percent lower than what my share price is. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Even if I bought another share, it wouldn't really affect that too much. All right, so I'm now $801 in margin. As you can see, I'm stacking margin every day. All these shares being up, like Chippy and blocks and everything being way up, it's costing me more per share than it was at the beginning. So that $300 a day is definitely not covering buying one of each of these shares every single day. So that's why we're using margin, so we can still buy 1 share each day and increase the speed at which our snowball is going. And that's kind of where we're at here. So I just take the label off my cigar. I'm going to put it over on this other table, because if I put it over there, it's going to blow across the yard and end up in my little frog pond, and then I got to go fish it out of there. So hopefully it doesn't blow away. The wind actually calmed down slightly. As I say that, I bet it's going to pick up. All right, so let's go over to Snowball. interesting things going on in Snowball. So let me move my controls over so I can play around with this thing. Let's go to the dashboard. So it did an auto sync over the night. So let's see if we can get my actual dashboard to show up. Maybe it is my internet. Maybe my internet's the problem here. All right, so maybe I lied. Maybe I blamed Robinhood for my own problem. So I'll accept it. You know, internet slow. I'm gonna get on those guys. Tell Elon to get his Skynet fixed. All right, so so my passive income is based on PLTW paying out higher. As you can see, I'm almost $400 a month, so I'm at $3,578. I'm getting closer by the day, which is a 39.86 percent in passive income here, which is great. I like seeing dividends like that. And then, as you can see, even though my account is down slightly today, my total profits up significantly. So capital gains is up, $543.71. My dividends received $130.81. The 5-cent realized P&L loss is when Robinhood gave me some Berkshire fractional shares in return for referring people to Robinhood. And those went down. I couldn't take watching them go down anymore, so I just sold them at a 5-cent loss. That's what that is. And then the fees paid, that $50, that's the Robinhood Gold account. So the cool thing about Snowball is it does calculate this stuff in, so you can actually see what effect these little fees and things that have what effect it has on your account. All right, so as you can see here, my total account value is now $8,534.47. So how much have I invested with the dividends is $8,065. So it's been growing. So the value is there. So it shows this as invested, but it does. That's because it doesn't show the amount that the dividends plus what I put in today. So $7,909, which is actually, it doesn't count in the dividends into that. It only counts these numbers. So, but it doesn't show the $15 because I put it in after it did its auto sync. So we're going to go ahead and sync it. I'm going to sync it all the way back from April 1st because it gets some goofiness if you just sync it from a couple days ago. So I'm just going to sync it from the beginning of the month. I'm going to let it rip here. It doesn't take long to sync this. Man, do I love this tool. So, all right, transactions are in here. So holdings, let's go ahead and refresh this and see what we're up to on the passive income. So passive income didn't move a whole lot. So I'm at $3,742.57. Let's go over to the dividend calendar, which is my favorite view here. So this is not, it's interesting that it shows that number on the first page on the cover page, but it doesn't show it here. So this number is what I found is pretty accurate. So we're just going to go with this number, 3,680 cents. That's a fun number because that's almost exactly $300 a month, $300.07 a month, which is about almost $10 a day that I've been able to increase my passive income, which is pretty fantastic, I think. And so we'll go down here and take a look. So tomorrow I'm going to get $21.34 between HOW and PLTW. Both of those are paying out really, really well this week. That's not consistent though. Don't count on those to pay your bills is what I usually tell people. I'm like, those weekly payers are all over the place. So, but I'm happy on the weeks when they pay out really well. And they are paying out really well this week. So I'm going to get $12.78 from HOW tomorrow and $8.55 from PLTW. And as you can see on, we're starting to get pretty consistent here. HOW, PLTW, $21.34 compared to last week, $7.51. So you can see a pretty substantial increase there. And then this week I'm going to get $17.28 on Wednesday and $23.44 I'm going to get on Thursday. But as you can see, anything I do tomorrow is going to actually affect the Thursday pairs because the EX date is for these ones is on Wednesday. So I will increase these dividends tomorrow when I buy them, but things are looking pretty good. I'm about $100 a month off of my $400 a month goal. Not going to hit it this week, but probably next week I will be getting there, as long as PLTW and HOW keep paying really well. For we get another week of that, we'll be into buying monthlies. So that's why this week I got to figure out which monthlies I'm going to buy. So I took a look at this morning. I'm like, I think it's time for me to get serious about those monthlies and figure out which ones I'm going to do. So I'm going to do that this week. And if you haven't seen it, how I research some of those, I have a video last week on how I research investments, and it's basic. I didn't go into all the details, otherwise it would be a 2-hour video, but it's a 30-minute video on the initial, like, here's using Snowball, here's using Seeking Alpha, here's what I was looking for strategy wise on the individual holdings. And I use some AI in there to categorize things on what's tax efficient and what's not. So great way to kind of look at some things using ChatGPT. I just use ChatGPT for that. You can use whatever AI tool you want, but Chat's easy for me. It's fast, simple, and it's it does the job, and it sends me usually in the right direction. I haven't had it really go show me wrong on investments and what's tax efficient, what's not. Although if you ask it what its return, what a return on one of these is, man, it's all over the place. So that's why I use Seeking Alpha for that. All right. So as you can see, we got kind of a mix of stuff in the green and stuff in the red today. Chippy's down today, as you can see in here, but it's interesting that stuff that's been down, like TSII is up, and PLTW is up, and then Chippy's been nonstop ripping, and now it's red today. So this goes to show you just can't predict the market. But let's go look at what Bitcoin's doing today. And it's down. So, I usually use, so how I use this, I don't buy any Bitcoin, but, Bitcoin, this is usually like canary in the coal mine of how the market's going to do on any given day. So if I look at Bitcoin, maybe an hour or two before the market opens, I'll look at that and I'll go, how's Bitcoin doing today? Oh, it's down. Generally speaking, I can count on that being a red day. If it's up, significantly, I can generally count on that being a green day. So it's kind of, it's not always true. Not always, but 90% I found that gives me an idea what I'm doing that day. All right, so let's go look at. So I'll actually send you on the right path here on some other investments. So let's go look at Owl. All right. So as you can see, there's a lot of articles about this. I'm going to be sad. I'm a little sad because I like that REIT. I like the way that they've done business. I love their healthcare holdings. And I've done really, really well being a shareholder. And now Blue Owl is going to buy them, and that's the way it is. So they're gonna give me whatever my shares are worth, plus some. The share prices went up today to what they're going to be paying. So I'm going to I'm going to make some money on that, but not too happy that I'm not going to get those consistent dividends. But watch the news. The news will kind of give you an idea of what's happening. And man, my fire just kind of tipped over. Now it's going crazy back there, but. All right, so let's go back to Snowball. One last thing here. Let's go look at where we are with my goal. So as you can see here, I'm now at 4% of my goal. I was 3% on Friday. Now I'm at 4%. So, my annual goal is $102,960. I'm at $3,720, which is with dividend reinvesting, with me putting $6,000 in. What this doesn't take into account is the use of margin and little bits of money here and there. And so this says I'm going to be achievable in 3 years. I think I'm going to do it faster. My goal is between 1.5 years and 2 years to make this happen. So we're going to see if this works, and if it does, then this portfolio did better than my last one. My last one took me almost exactly 3 years to the day, and I wanted to do it faster. We're going to see if this strategy works faster than that. But I think pretty good investing $300 a day to get me to $102,960 in passive income. If we can accomplish that, we're doing pretty good, and we know that things are working out. So, all right. With that said, happy investing, everybody. Have a great week. I don't know why I'm saying that. I'm going to be back on here tomorrow, but it's going to be a busy week for me. I'm traveling this week on Wednesday, so I'll be, who knows, I may be doing this video in the airport. I'll try to do it before I leave, but, cranking along. All right, so happy investing. Love the comments and everybody getting involved with what I'm doing here and giving me some feedback. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to answer every single one of your comments as fast as I possibly can, and appreciate all of you, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.